And
Look
Mr.
who
Sprinkle
it
is here,
is.
Your Honor, if you wanted to.
Okay.
He just walked in.
Hi. Can you take the stand for me?
Yes.
And I wasn't going to do this right now, but when I read that,
Uh-oh.
go ahead and sit down. You're sworn. You're already sworn. You've been a witness in this case for days on end.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so you're still under oath, and I'm going to recall your attention to, I think it was the last day of your testimony, but it was, there was a laptop on the witness stand, and you accessed it.
Yes.
And you actually did that without anybody asking you to or asking the court's permission. But can you tell me what all you looked at on the laptop?
Yeah, I had my supplement, that 140-page document, and I also had some of the stuff that I pulled during the case. Everything that's already been turned over in discovery, just in case I need to refresh my recollection. But primarily, it was just it was a digital version of the report that I had on the stand. That was it. So I could do word searches. So if I was asked a question, I wouldn't have to be flipping through pages and looking for things.
Okay.
And that was my opinion when we looked at it yesterday. We found the exact point where he's talking about where he clicked and he would scroll down and then he would nod. So it was hard to tell. When we looked at it yesterday, I still wasn't sure either, but
If I was asked a question, I wouldn't have to be flipping through pages and looking for things.
Okay. Was there any point in time when you accessed anything else other than that report and the files that were connected to that?
No.
Okay. Did you in any way read any communication that came in at any time from anybody?
No, I wasn't communicating with anybody. I didn't have email open or anything like that. All I was looking at was the report and the digital media, like the discs that I brought to the stand with me, that stuff that was on the discs and the stuff that was turned over in discovery. That was it.
All right. We may call you back at some point with regard to this a motion that has just been filed after lunch. Are you going to be around this afternoon? And I don't know whether you'd be needed for that or not. Haven't read it in detail, nor do we have a response from the state yet. But would you be available this afternoon if we need you?
Well, I'm just one floor up, Your Honor, in courtroom 2B. I do have a couple of cases, but I mean, the short answer to your question is I will be in the building in the moment I can peel away.
And I don't know, like I said, whether you'll be needed or not. But all right, thank you.
Okay.
Y'all aren't gonna like this. I believe him. And Amy called it was it yesterday or Wednesday? Either way, she said, "Oh, they got Love's laptop." I think it was yesterday. And y'all see Miss Love is in court. Now we probably know why. There's some investigation going into the communication she had back and forth. I don't know if somebody saw something in the courtroom and maybe pointed it out to the defense. Obviously, we now think that when Brian Steele had a meeting at the bench with Judge Whitaker and it was sealed, this could be part of it. So I don't know. I believe him. Y'all probably aren't gonna like it. I know Amy's not. She said I don't believe him. This. A guy like this, I just don't see him. I don't see him playing that game. It just doesn't fit the MO to me. But I could be wrong. I've been wrong before.
Is that true?
Yes.
All right. You are a deputy district attorney with the Fulton County District Attorney's Office.
I am.
You have been so employed, as you've indicated in your testimony, for since 2013. Does that sound about right?
2011.
2011. Okay. I heard from an investigator. Tell me if this is accurate. That sometimes when a file comes to you from an investigating agency, that it is not always, in your words, complete.
Yes.
And you testified, did you not, that it would be your job or your duty, your responsibility to do some additional work. That may not be the word you use. You may have said investigation. I'm not sure.
I understand. Yes.
Do some additional work. That it would be your job or your duty, your responsibility to do some additional, in your words, complete. From an investigating agency, that it is not always, in your words, complete.
Yes.
And you testified, did you not?
All right, y'all look at this. So this is Miss Love on last Monday when she got absolutely cooked by Judge Whitaker.
wrong, you correct me, okay? Okay. But one of the things that you said in your report.
Hold on a second. Let me slow this down. This might be where it happens. I'm going to keep watching some more of it.
Is that it seemed as though the arrest of these individuals, by the way, these folks were arrested. I mean, they weren't just like suspected. They were actually put in jail, right?
We got that.
Okay.
Go ahead and ask your question.
All right, get in there. You said that this was almost entirely based on the statement of Mr. Spencer Wright.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. And it turned out that Detective Thorpe, or whoever else was involved, did a ridiculously poor job of vetting or looking into Spencer Wright's statement. Isn't that true?
Let's at his computer.
Well, there was surveillance
You
video.
see, she's looking at him. She keeps looking up at him, and then she starts typing.
Mr. Wright said he was a specific place, and there was video that would have showed whether or not he was there. That apparently was not inspected very closely prior to obtaining arrest warrants.
All right, well, in terms of non-investigated...
She looks like a parent. You ever been in a play or had a kid that was in a play, and they're up there saying their lines, and you got that one parent that's looking at them is like saying the lines along with them, like, yes, you can do it. Remember your lines. And the goat jumped over. That's what it looks. That's what it looks like. I don't know.
Spencer Wright. Thorpe spoke to Spencer Wright on the 19th of October. All right.
Yes.
Now, when you came into the case, right? Is that true?
Yes.
That you thought to do was to really examine the statement from Mr. Wright. Is that true?
Yes.
And you did so?
I did.
And you spoke to him?
I did.
One of the second or third things that you did, right, just using some common sense, was to go and look for video around the location where you thought Spencer Wright would have been, right?
That's right.
And you did that?
I did.
And you were able to find it?
I was.
And it was pretty easy?
It was.
Detective Thorpe, before arresting folks based on your words, almost entirely the statement of Spencer Wright, never took the time to even go look for video where Spencer Wright supposedly would have been, did he?
Well, that I don't know. You would have to ask Detective Thorpe that.
Well, did you? Did you ask Detective Thorpe that?
Oh. I'm sure I did.
Let me guess. The answer was that he had not done it, right?
I remember the answer he gave at the preliminary hearing about the video.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this. When you come into the case...
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Hey, I'm still doing research here, so that might not be the moment. I'm just showing them to y'all as we go along. So we're going to do a little bit of live investigating here. So let me slow this back down. So here's another instance. And this should be easy to find because there wasn't cross-examination of Sprinkle for long. So this is another instance where I found
vehicles at the Texaco gas station not far from the barbershop around the time that the incident occurred, right?
That's correct.
You talked earlier, if I'm right, about this Pontiac Bonneville, right?
That's correct.
You talked about other vehicles that you saw, correct?
Correct.
You talked about individuals that you saw there at the, by the prosecutor, whether you saw Kenneth Copeland.
What's he doing? What's he doing on his computer here?
Your answer on any of those videos. Remember that question?
I do remember it.
Your on any of those videos, whether you saw.
That's correct.
He's clicking and looking at
you were asked by the prosecutor whether you saw Kenneth Copeland on any of those videos. Remember that question?
I do remember it.
Your answer was no.
That's right.
Because you did not see Kenneth Copeland at that gas station, that Texaco, sometime around the time that the murder occurred, right?
That's correct.
Right. You weren't asked, so I'm going to ask you, whether you saw Jeffrey Williams on that video at the Texaco at around the time that the murder occurred.
Okay.
Did you?
No, I didn't see Jeffrey Williams on there, no.
And you looked at the entirety of the video, right?
I did.
I think I heard you say that, I don't know if you said all of them, a lot of videos you went back and looked at them multiple times, right?
Mm-hmm.
So y'all are saying, so this is from Monday. It was from last Wednesday, or was it from Monday? Good morning to everybody who's just joining us.
January 10th, 2015, somewhere between, let's say, 6-something and 6:15 and 7:30, the time that you looked at the Texaco. Jeffrey Williams is not on any video, getting out of any car, getting into any car at the Texaco down the street from the barbershop, true?
That's true.
Okay. I heard you say that one of the things that interested you when you looked at that video, the text codes that you saw an Infiniti. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Okay. And you became interested in doing some additional research or investigation on that Infiniti vehicle. You remember that?
I do, but actually, I think that if we're talking about when I decided to do certain things, I may have actually conducted additional research on the Infiniti before it caught my attention on the Texaco footage. I can't remember the exact, but just to be precise. Yeah, I mean, it was probably around that time, but yeah.
But one of the things that we know for a fact is that you determined that you wanted to get more information about this rental vehicle, right?
Yes, that's right.
And you did. You and or your investigator made contact with the folks at Hertz, right?
It started with me when I sent the subpoena to Hertz, and then after that, after receiving some documents from a woman named Carolyn Fry, then I asked David White to travel to the location where the vehicle was rented and speak with the staff at that location.
Okay. So let me ask you some very specific questions about any information that you gleaned about that rental vehicle. You testified earlier that...
All right, here we go. So this might be it. Let's see here. So let me put this on normal speed. I think I found the spot that y'all were talking about.
Person's number, or if somebody cites it on their Instagram page and says, call me on this number, that's going to get me to probable cause that that's that number. But if it's just that it's in temporal proximity, and I think there was another issue with the retention period of the number. I don't. All I know is I didn't think I had probable cause. I never got probable cause to get the tower records.
Let's work backwards a little bit, right? Let's start with this. When you sent out the request for the records that you thought was a number to Demekian Garlington.
Yes.
You requested those records specifically without tower usage logs, right?
I did.
Okay. Now, you had previously requested records for what you thought was Kenneth Copeland's phone number with
Interesting. Where's
the tower usage logs,
body
right?
language expert? I know. It's interesting how I don't know. I can't tell here if he's nodding and going like, yeah, that's right. That would happen. Or if he's nodding and saying, okay, I got it.
A little bit, right? Let's start with this.
Because it looks like he's going back and looking through the report that Mr. Adams is referring to. And then he's looking, and he's like, okay, yeah, I did do that. Because he says yes.
When you sent out the request for the records that you thought was a number to Demekian Garlington.
Yes.
You requested those records specifically without tower usage logs, right?
I did.
Okay. Now,
he says I did, and then
you had previously requested records for what you thought was Kenneth Copeland's phone number with the tower usage logs, right?
I don't know that it was me that did that. It may have been investigator or detective Dennis that did that.
Right, but one thing that you knew, I mean, you honed in on the fact that there was supposedly this call between Kenneth Copeland and Demekian Garlington, and they were supposed to be at a specific place on the night of January 10, 2015. Isn't that right?
That's correct.
Right. And so you had listened to Kenneth Copeland's statements, and you knew from Copeland's statements that he made reference to Wade Garlington, who was an important witness to you, right?
It was.
Right. You knew that Copeland had made reference in his hours of statements about this conversation and the location of Garlington, who was an important witness. You knew that.
That's right.
Right. And so you still didn't think that that was enough for you to go ahead and try to verify whether Kenneth Copeland was lying through his teeth or not by getting Garlington's tower usage logs.
I will say one other thing.
Your Honor, may we approach?
Yes.
I wonder if they looked at each other and gave a little good job nod. Interesting.